let's get to this tragedy of a film. So Wonder Woman 1984 came out over the holiday, and damn, y'all, I feel so bad for DC comic fans. Don't get me wrong, the Snyder Bro alt-right types that seem to have taken a hold over there can still kick rocks, but DC Comics has really good stories and characters and really a more interesting overall world, but it seems like they just can't get it right at the studio level for their live action movies. And all right, so the biggest issue with Wonder Woman and the failure of its plot is the ethos of its morality being really compromised and problematic. Specifically, I think Wonder Woman is a movie that wants to be woke but lacks intersectionality in its politics, and it comes off really, really bad if you're paying attention. It reminds me of a person that learned social justice theories from Tumblr posts and never actually engaged with the ideas and principles that it purports to understand and represent. Or to put simply, it has a white feminist problem. Now, let me throw in some qualifiers. I am not a woman, and I don't understand what it means to live as a woman, especially a white woman. I've studied gender at the graduate level and read a chunk of classical feminist texts, etc. And if my engagement with feminist theories has taught me anything, is that I should be very careful when speaking about something that I personally don't know what it's like to feel in the real world. So I do not purport to be an authority here. I also want to be real clear to make the distinction that there's a difference between a white woman who is a feminist and white feminism. And I'll break that down more in a moment. However, from an intersectional standpoint, I see calling out white feminism as akin to calling out white supremacy. So I'm gonna just run this fade and hope for the best. When we speak on white feminism, what we're saying is that white women are using the concepts and principles of gender equality to pursue power for white women at the exclusion of other marginalized groups such as women of color, queer, trans women, and others that white feminists purport to care about and fight for, but history has shown that they really could care less about on multiple occasions. White feminism is only really concerned about gender equality in the ways that most greatly affect them. At their worst, white feminists will commodify the bodies of women and people of color to add fuel to their fights for equality, while at the same time condoning or outright supporting the oppression of those same people when it's convenient. The easiest example of this is Margaret Sanger, who created Planned Parenthood for the purpose of improving sexual and reproductive health of white women, but was a proponent of eugenics and sterilizing people of color at the same time. And at their best, white feminists just come off galling and oblivious to how their actions contribute to the greater problems for people they purport to care about. If I'm being generous, and I am, a lot of white feminists really do want equality for everyone. They just lack the understanding of what that requires and looks like, or the commitment to that. And they have a very bad habit of censoring their experiences and presence in the fight as key to addressing these issues, which in the end makes things worse for everyone. To put it simply, most white feminists' main problem is that they don't check their privilege. And Wonder Woman is a movie that really needed to check its privilege. The movie truly seems oblivious to what its morality looks like to everyone else except the other privileged white women that might be watching it. And the cognitive dissonance that comes from that is a major problem as to why the movie's plot doesn't connect with its audience. Now, admittedly, some of the stuff that makes me feel this way is a little nitpicky. Like, for example, at the beginning of the movie, there's this moment where Diana saves a little black girl and the optics of it bother me, but maybe that's more so me. There's also the way that Kristen Wiig's Cheetah character is treated. It kind of doesn't connect properly. Like, her thing as a villain is that she feels patronized by Diana, and if you pay attention to the way their conversations go, you kind of completely agree with Cheetah that she is patronizing. This is a constant problem with Cheetah because I don't know what we're supposed to feel about her actions half the time. Early in the movie, she is nearly assaulted in the park by some drunk man, and then later, after she gets powers, she sees him again and beats the shit out of him. And it's like the movie wants us to see this as a bad thing, like she went too far, and yeah, I don't know, it seemed fine to me. At the end of the movie sees Diana save the world by just talking people out of their bad behavior. And for a few people that want to be famous or to be powerful, that might be cute, right? But in this montage, we see someone who is clearly coded as a terrorist, complete with a black turban and AK-47, wishing for nuclear missiles. But then after Wonder Woman tells him that he should just, think about it at the end of the movie, he's all like, man, I shouldn't want nukes. Jihad is bad. Nigga, what? Like, do people think folks join Islamic extremist groups for the flex? That all these guys need is a different perspective, and then all of them and the other forces that led to those extreme acts suddenly disappear if they just think positively? There's more, but I want to get to the most egregious one, which is how they go about bringing back Steve Trevor. I am truly dumbfounded that this was allowed to make it to the final script. Quick warning for sexual assault. So in the first 30 minutes of the movie, Steve Trevor is unknowingly wished back by Diana. Okay, cool. That should be interesting. That could be interesting, right? Like, it's kind of lame that Diana's key character arc is tied to the fact that she's still not over her boyfriend from like 40 years ago. But there's potential in that as a story conceit. However, instead of just having him magically pop up in his own body like many of the other magic things this rock does in the movie, they decide that Trevor will come back by taking over the body and life of another man out of nowhere, magically, and most importantly, without his knowledge or consent. So although we as the viewer see Chris Pine as Trevor in most of the movie also forces us to recognize that he's actually a whole other dude, and that's all she needed. They didn't do any real investigation on the ramifications of that. They didn't contact this guy's family or even found out his name. She and Trevor in this other man's body just run off on adventures, fighting bad guys, getting into car chases, and getting shot at, completely neglecting whatever private or personal life he may have had. And oh yeah, and she has sex with him less than a few minutes after he first comes into the movie. I want to tease that out just a bit. Wonder Woman wishes the soul of her dead boyfriend into another man's body without his knowledge or consent, nor investigation of who this man was beforehand, and then immediately has sex with that body. So what would you guys call having sex with a person when they cannot consent to participating in the sex act? Yeah. Remember how confused and disgusted we were when in the Killing Joke animated movie, Batgirl out of nowhere wants to get it in with Batman, and even though this girl is like a daughter to him and is literally the daughter of one of his best friends, he doesn't hesitate, and most of the audience was like, ew, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, that was a mind-boggling decision that got the movie panned and drugged by most of Twitter, and even by the shitlords who usually don't mind that type of stuff. But at least it was consensual. As a society, we struggle to ever look at men's bodies as being capable of being victimized sexually by women, so I can imagine that this came up in a story and nobody raised a red flag, but it's still emblematic of the problematic core of the movie and the fact that there weren't the right people in the room to talk about this. And what drives it home is that they do all of this. They make all of these mistakes in their woke politics while still trying to score points by dunking on Donald Trump.
Trash and white guys, the nerve. Where's the camera? The nerve of you white women.
And I get it. Max Lord is an effective take on just how Trump's con man act worked to make him the president. But this is exactly what makes white feminism white feminism. See, white feminists who lack intersectionality in their politics see Trump as the problem, while intersectional scholars recognize that Trump is just the latest and most visible manifestation of the problem, that the real problem is much bigger and much more complex than Donald Trump. And part of that problem is that white feminists are fine with being complicit with all other parts of the problem until it gets to the point where it really affects them. I hate to provide fuel for the shitlords that are happy just to see anything women related fail, and I'm sure if I wanted to, I could find similar issues in a lot of superhero movies, but for Wonder Woman, I don't know, it hit different because this movie wants to wear its politics on its sleeve. It ends up sending all the wrong messages. So good intentions or not, from where I stand, all I see are pink hats and safety pins all over again. And I hate it for DC fans, but you gotta take this L. And I don't know, maybe this is payback for y'all not supporting Birds of Prey, which was fucking great. All right, that's all I got, y'all. Peace.